If you're fishing for fish that are in open water and that like to eat minnows, a couple of the best lures to use is either a spinner or a spoon. Now what we have here is a small spinner. This is a size 2 and it's a Vibrex. And you can see that it's got nice blue and silver color, and it's got a little bit of bucktail and some crystal hair in the tail. I'm just going to hold it up and explain to you why this lure works so well in open water. A spinner is designed to sink because it's made out of metal, and once you start retrieving it, the spinner rotates around. I'll try to spin it, just like this, okay? So this particular spinner has a little clevis inside so that when it goes through the water, that little gear hits the actual body of the spinner and makes a lot of vibrations. That's why it's called a Vibrex. Now spinners are ideal to fish in open water because when you cast them out, you can control how deep you fish them back to you. You can let it sink right to the bottom and retrieve it in really slow so that you fish very deep, or you can fish it anywhere from the bottom to the surface, depending on how long you let it sink and how fast you retrieve it. So spinners work really well. Another lure that works well is a spoon. This particular one is a half wave. It's made by Lucky Strike, and you can see that it literally looks like a spoon that you would use for feeding. That's why they call it a spoon. And this particular one has a single barbless hook on it. Some places in Canada, you have to use a single barbless hook. So with this spoon, you would cast it out, and you could fish it 2 ways in open water. You could let it flutter to the bottom and it would fall. We call that vertical jigging. Lift it up and let it flutter to the bottom. So it looks like a minnow that's struggling to swim deeper down. Or you could cast it out and retrieve it so that you get a nice wobbling action. The lure would go from side to side and flip over itself when you retrieve it back. So both a spoon and a spinner has to be retrieved or at least jigged to get some action. But they work really well in open water where you're making long casts and you're fishing for fish that eat smaller fish.